All right, ladies, I have some responses to some of the things that you said. Let's start with the corkscrew. Claire, what you did, which was this, I think you did counterclockwise, but you might have done clockwise. It depends. I don't know whether your camera was mirrored or not. That is a corkscrew. That is specifically an inside plane corkscrew. So let's back up and talk about terminology a little bit. A corkscrew is a type of move called a reel. A reel is a move that goes from one plane to the other. This is an outside plane corkscrew. So this is a regular old, without any qualification, if somebody says corkscrew, this is what they mean. This is the one-handed drill. Now, I'm doing it in clockwise, which means if you looked at the circle on the bottom that's down here, it will look at the 12 o'clock point, which is the farthest point from you, it will look like it's going to the right, and it goes down and up. That's what the left hand does, and then the right hand does the same thing. Now, what's interesting about this move is the left hand is moving in overhand. So if you stood it up, overhand comes over the top and then down, whereas underhand comes up from the bottom. So the left hand, which is moving clockwise, is going in overhand. The right hand, which is still going in clockwise, bottom to top, is also going to cross the midnight point and go to the right, but it's underhand. So the left is over, the right is under. And if you did it in together time, that would be, now timing does not define the move. The move itself is the corkscrew. The corkscrew can occur with multiple timings like this, which is together time, or this, which is split time. It can occur in different planes. So this is on the outside plane where it's above the frame of your body versus what you were doing, Claire, which is the inside plane. And you could do it both in together time or split time on the inside plane or the outside plane. And by the way, about the snake charmer is a separated corkscrew. It's specifically called that because of the way that it utilizes the belly dancing move that is often referred to as the snake charmer, because of that sort of motion that happens because of the way that you lift and lower the elbows, which has the shoulders move in a particular way. Thus, Claire, I would say not having straight arms is actually desirable because that's how you accentuate that sort of snake charmery effect, if you will. Snake charmery, I don't know. And then if I were to distinguish what's happening with the inside corkscrew like this versus the snake charmer, you're separating your arms out to the side so they are in line with the frame of your body versus in front of your body. Now, every single one of those was a corkscrew. And by the way, this is a corkscrew as well. This is a 4-beat inside plane corkscrew. This is a 4-beat regular outside plane corkscrew. That's in clockwise. By the way, you can also do these in opposite direction. So this is an inside plane overhand opposite. So like as if you were in an overhand butterfly and you laid it down and you did it above and below the arms. This is an inside plane overhand opposite butterfly. This is an outside plane overhand opposite butterfly. This is an inside plane overhand opposite snake charmer, which is a specific kind of corkscrew where you are separating the 2 points. So here, when I'm doing this corkscrew, the center of rotation for my left hand is stacked on top of the center of rotation for my right hand, versus here, it is separated. This is a whole bunch of terminology I just gave you. So a reel is a move that goes from one plane to another, or yes, from one plane to the other, floor to ceiling, or say front to back, like this hip reel. Or the other move that you did at the end, Claire, I would not call this a helicopter. The only thing I've ever seen called a helicopter is a butterfly over the head, or maybe a thread the needle over the head I've heard called a helicopter, or possibly a butterfly behind the head. I have personally, just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean somebody hasn't used that terminology. The most common names I've heard used for this are pinwheel or windmill. And then it is also a reel. So this is a reel, this is a reel, this is a reel. That is not a reel because the hand's crossed. This is a reel, this is a reel, this is a reel. All of these are reels. A reel is just moving from one side of the body to the other. All you do is, one of my favorite expressions. As you know, Claire, I think everything that I just did can be done in 4 directions, right? So there's, when I'm naming the directions, I'm naming it based on what you, the artist, see in front of you. So this is clockwise to me. This is clockwise to me, but you're seeing anti-clockwise. So when you're looking at people, if you're trying to name the direction, you have to imagine that you're looking from their eyes, not from your eyes, and seeing the direction that they're seeing to name it so that you have shared reality on what the name of the move is. So clockwise, which is same direction, counterclockwise, overhand opposite, or underhand opposite. Now, overhand, a lot of people lazily call this overhand and this underhand, which I don't prefer because I use this for overhand, where both poi are actually coming over the top on the side plane, and I use this for underhand, but this is my particular peccadillo, so, you know, just because I feel that way doesn't mean other people do. I just think it's more precise to say overhand in opposite direction because they are coming at each other, and they are coming over the top, going inward and then coming down in this overhand opposite version, and they're coming outward, coming up from the bottom underneath, underhand, for this underhand version. And this is an underhand opposite butterfly. This is an overhand opposite butterfly. And these can be turned into opposite direction pinwheel. So this is an overhand opposite pinwheel or windmill. This is an overhand opposite corkscrew. This is an overhand opposite separated corkscrew. This is an overhand opposite snake charmer, which is an inside plane separated corkscrew. This is an overhand opposite corkscrew in front of you. So that was many pieces of terminology. And if someone says, well, I'm trying to learn the corkscrew, in general, I would assume what they mean is a same direction. So either clockwise, like this, or anti-clockwise, like this, corkscrew. And most people, I think, when they first start learning it, learn it in split time like this, not in together time like this. Although I think for some people, together time can be easier. The constituent components, so the drills that you would want to do for counterclockwise are below and above, the bottom plane and the top plane, the bottom plane and the top plane, going to the left at the 12 o'clock point. So at the point that's furthest from you, if you imagine it as a clock, I think we're all old enough to actually have used regular old analog clocks, but the youth today, I've actually worked with clients who've never used analog clocks, so they didn't know the difference between clockwise and anti-clockwise. But for those old enough to remember, basically to the left at the 12 o'clock, top of the turn. So left poi, like this. The left poi is an underhand. The right poi does the same counterclockwise circle, and then it's going overhand. And then the thing to remember when you're doing, this is true for both the corkscrew and the pinwheel in the same direction. If you are going counterclockwise, which a lot of people think of as going to the left, so to the left, this is counterclockwise, or to the left, this is counterclockwise, you lead with your right hand. If you're going to the left, you lead with your right hand, so your right hand comes up first. And by the way, you can take this counterclockwise corkscrew, and if you look up and look up and look up and raise your hands up and get your hands to go front to back behind your head, that will bring you up into your pinwheel / windmill, whatever you want to call that thing, the reel over your head. Another thing to note was, Claire, you said in the video, and I'm not sure if you were saying this, or I'm not sure which one of you was actually saying this. You said going over your head or behind your head. Those are two different things. The corkscrew technically does not go behind your head, it goes over your head. But there's really no place that I would say, like behind your head would be here. Over your head would be here. I would give the corkscrew an over the head place, yes. But I don't think it actually goes behind the head. I think that is reserved for the windmill or the pinwheel, depending on how you look at it. That goes back here behind the head. So if you're talking about trying to get a corkscrew behind the head, then I'm confused what that means. And it could just be that you think it's supposed to go behind your head when really it's supposed to go on the floor plane and the ceiling plane below and above. And the metaphor that I like to use for this is, imagine you're one of the witches in Macbeth, toil and trouble, and you're stirring your little pot, right? So it's stirring the pot down here, and it's wrangling cattle up here, right? So it's lasso, stir the pot. Lasso, stir the pot. And I would practice one-handed with each of these, one-handed with each of these, and then trying to put it together, being sure if you're going counterclockwise to lead with the right hand, and if you're going clockwise to lead with the left hand. And then you can try your opposite direction ones later, which, I mean, they may be easier to get, but most people, when they're trying to get them initially, are trying to get same direction. And then it's the same thing if you want to do the inside plane move. So the inside plane move is below and above, but instead of going up above your head, what you're doing is carefully with shorter poi, so as to not hit your face or boobs or chin or neck or other valuable body parts, you're coming in toward your face like this and you're going above and below. This is clockwise. Again, at the top of the turn, furthest point from you, going to the right, and you want to do that with both hands individually. Because it does feel very different to do this gross movement where you're going up and down and you have a lot of space between where the circle is down here and the circle is up there, versus this much more subtle movement here. You can see I'm barely moving my hand. You have to have a much greater degree of control to get it on the bottom plane and the top plane for that particular movement. And then once you've gotten, I would start with the bigger one, the outside plane. Once you've gotten the outside plane one, you can try shortening your poi, and then start with the outside plane one, but with short poi, and then instead of going over your head, come in toward your face, leaning your face back to be sure that you don't hit it, which is less than ideal. And then once you've gotten that, you can start working on these separations. And if you're going to do the drills for the separations, you do this to this, to this, to this, to this, to this. I have way more detailed videos on all of those things, I think. Certainly all the inside plane stuff that you can find on my youtube.com/@Templeofpoi. And if you go from a web browser in desktop mode, I don't know if it does it in mobile mode, but if you do it in desktop mode, there's a search box. And if you search inside plane or snake charmer or short poi, corkscrew, you'll probably find longer lessons specifically dedicated to those moves. And I think that addresses all of the things that y'all were saying that I wanted to comment on. But let me know if I missed anything and tag me in the next one, and I will comment when I get a chance. Hope y'all are having a great night. Bye.